appearances, 6 rings. Tom Brady posted his goodbye.
This is it for him, man. Thanks for a hell of a run.
Tom Brady is going to wind up as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Wrap your mind around that one.
When you get yourself in a situation like this, this is a great opportunity for us. You got to take advantage of it. We're going to be in it at the end. There's no team that's going to run away from us.
Here we go, gentlemen. A Hall of Fame quarterback, Terry Bradshaw, making news. Here's what the Steelers legend had to say to The Athletic regarding Brady joining the Buccaneers. Quote, "Why in the world does he want to keep on playing at 43 other than to prove to New England that he's more important than Bill Belichick? Why the hell do you want to go to Tampa? The only thing I can think of is ego gets involved and you decide. I'll show him who's more important." Part of me says it ain't going to work. When you're 43 years old, I don't care if you eat grass and sand and whatever it is he does, that's a tough call. Bradshaw explained his comments to Mike Greenberg on Get Up this morning.
The pressure that Belichick probably puts on his football team and the pressure that Brady puts on himself to excel, the two of those finally collide. I happen to believe that working for Bill Belichick would have been a great honor. But when you're through, because I think that's exhausting. That kind of commitment to excellence is exhausting. It's mentally exhausting. So perhaps Tom wants to get out from under that kind of pressure and be free and go down to Florida in the warm weather and show the world how great he is, how great he really is without Belichick. I know Belichick can win without Brady. I don't know that Brady can win without Belichick.
Stephen A., some strong comments there by Terry Bradshaw. He thought ego might be involved in this decision. Do you agree with his sentiment here?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's wrong, but, the tenor that comes associated with it is what I would challenge. Of course, ego is involved. So what, Terry Bradshaw? I mean, you're a 4-time Super Bowl champion. You guided the Pittsburgh Steelers to that. The days of Franco Harris and Rocky Blyer, Lynn Swann, John Stallworth. This is why I fell in love with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Immaculate Reception and beyond. We know how great Terry Bradshaw was as a champion. He's a 4-time Super Bowl champion. He's been doing fabulous work on Fox for many years. He retired in 1983, more than 35 years ago. He's old school, and I get where he's coming from. My problem with it is that what's the attitude for? Why does he seem to be chiding Tom Brady? Oh my Lord, like he said, Tom Brady, I don't know if Tom Brady can win without Bill Belichick. I know Bill Belichick can win without Tom Brady. Well, guess what? What's wrong with Tom Brady wanting to find out? I will remind somebody of a particular story, and I'm sure that you'll recall this, Max, and Molly, maybe you will as well. Years ago, Kobe Bryant was playing for the Los Angeles Lakers, God rest his soul, and Kobe Bryant decided that he didn't want to be with Shaq anymore. He came on my show, quite frankly, back in 2006, if I remember correctly, and he talked about it. And he said, I wanted to do my own thing. I didn't want to be seen as his little brother. I didn't want to be seen as anybody's little brother or anybody's sidekick. In order to challenge myself and test my level of greatness, I wanted to put myself in a position where I was that dude. This is what he said on and off the air. And lo and behold, he ended up going to 3 straight NBA finals after Mitch Kupchak and the Lakers pulled off that heist that got Pau Gasol for Kwame Brown. And as a result, they go to 3 straight NBA finals and they win back-to-back titles. And Kobe ends up with 5 titles to Shaq's 4. What I'm saying is that even though people chided him for it, he was unapologetic for the fact that even though he had the most dominant force of the modern era in Shaquille O'Neal, he didn't want to be somebody's sidekick. So now we transfer to here. What's wrong with Tom Brady, a 6-time champion who's won 9 Super Bowls with Bill Belichick, sitting there saying, excuse me, I'm not done. I think I got something left. And since you don't believe in me, I want to go elsewhere. It's not like Bill Belichick begged him to stay in New England and he said, nah, I don't want to be with you. No, Bill Belichick said, look, bye. I'm ready to do this without you any damn way. Yeah, he said, okay.
Sure.
What's the problem?
Right. Well, no, Terry Bradshaw, I don't think is saying a problem. I think he's saying he doesn't think Brady's going to have success without Belichick, like he's expecting. There's no such thing as a perfect analogy. Usually with Brady, the guy I compare him to is Joe Montana. Bill Walsh was the greatest coach of the era. He revolutionized it. Joe Montana was his quarterback. Joe Montana, like Brady, was considered like kind of a system guy. Was he really the product of? Then went to the Kansas City Chiefs at the end. Went to the playoffs 2 years in a row. Went to the AFC Championship game the first time he was there in Kansas City. Whoa, Montana's just great. That's the reason he won 4 Super Bowls, threw 13 touchdowns against only 0 interceptions in those 4 Super Bowls. Still, there's an argument Montana's the greatest of all time. But so I usually use that comparison, right? Like, let's see how they do apart, Belichick and Brady. Actually, not a perfect analogy, but Terry Bradshaw and Chuck Noll, like, it's not perfect, but Terry Bradshaw, handpicked by Chuck Noll, along with Franco Harris and Lynn Swann. He put that team together. Steelers weren't good before that was done. Who was Terry Bradshaw? He was a very strong-armed quarterback who didn't put up gaudy numbers. I mean, Brady was a strong-armed quarterback who put up nice but not gaudy numbers at first, over the first half of his career. I'm not saying Bradshaw's on Brady's level. But along with Chuck Noll, Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls. Stephen A., you're a Steelers fan. Still, I was a Steelers fan as a kid because if your team stunk in your local market, and the Giants did back then, you rooted for the Steelers because of how great they were, how dominant they were. Of everyone out there who has the standing and the experience actually to comment on this, the 2 that come to mind for me more than anyone are Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw. And now we've heard Bradshaw's comments. Having gone through it, knowing how important the coach is in terms of that grind and the standard of excellence and the way the 2 things mesh, the coach and the quarterback, I think he's suspicious of Brady's ultimate success away from Belichick.
There's nothing wrong with being suspicious of Brady's ultimate success. There is something wrong with doubting him where you're so quick to elevate Belichick as if Belichick had everything to do with the success of the New England Patriots and Tom Brady didn't facilitate it to the degree that people are willing to give him credit for. And I think that's really where Tom Brady has got himself up in the tizzy, privately at least, to some degree. He's thinking about what he's done for Coach Bill Belichick. He knows what Bill Belichick has done for him, but he's also thinking about what he's done as well. And everybody's acting like you could just punch in somebody, Stidham or so whoever it is, and they're going to do what Tom Brady has done. That is insulting and disrespectful. And as it pertains to you, Max, in terms of being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I want the world to know I've been doing this show with you for more than 3.5 years. I have never, ever heard you say that you were a Pittsburgh Steelers fan at any point in time in your life. I mean, damn. I mean, it never happened. I've never heard that.
When I was a kid, I've said it many times. I have said that many times when I was a kid.
Never.
What do I always say when someone roots for the Cowboys out of market? When we were kids, there were 2 out-of-market teams everyone rooted for.
Yes,
their home team was no good. Cowboys or Steelers?
Gentlemen,
the front runners rooted for the Cowboys. The real fans rooted for the Steelers.
Out of the 2. That's rooting for the Steelers over the Cowboys. That's not saying you're a Steelers
Gentlemen,
fan.
that debate is for another day. We have so many guests, so much to cover this morning. When Joe Green showed up on the Great Space Coasters, that was the greatest day of my life back then. All right, roll with me, fellas. We got to get back to our breaking news story when we come back here on First Take. The Olympics finally postponed. IOC member Dick Pound will join us and explain why the decision took so long. We will dive into that. Also, Deshaun Watson, quarterback of the Houston Texans, is not happy. Did you see his tweet? What it really means, the fellas will explain.